Is Dorothy here?
Dorothy is here from British Columbia.
Holy cow, it's exciting. Dorothy's back. Oh, that reminds me of something I wanted to talk about. Let's see. This is at the wrong angle for me to talk is part of the problem, Steve.
I'm going to bring a table in there?
No, it's that it's not directly in front of me. So it's the opposite. Let's see what happens if I do this. Let's see. It's time for roll call. We've got a fake Donald Burry's grayed out, and Steve, Brett, Kevin, Dan, Grim, Dorothy back from Canada, actually still in Canada, John, Nuclear John, I'm not sure Nuclear John is, but welcome aboard, Rose and Sandy, and bringing up the rear, we got another Steve there. This is a small font, Steve. And it doesn't matter how much I move the mouse, it doesn't move the mouse on your keyboard. All right. I am going to be really disabled unless somebody could figure out why. Anybody in here running colloquy or running textual? Because for some reason it's crashing, and I don't know why. And it's driving me nuts. I can't open it at all. So as soon as I open it, it crashes. It does not appear to have a plist that I can find. Okay, I can't use. Sorry, I'm really distressed because I can't use the keyboard. I can't read and talk. I got to go over at an angle like this and then come back like this, and I got to get to my keyboard. It's not going to work.
I could bring a table over over on the same angle as you.
The problem is it needs to be straight in front of me for me to be able to be looking at it. So it's to my side is the problem. So I can't read it when it's at my side. So I got to go like this, and then nobody can hear me.
But would the other side towards your mic be better?
No.
All right.
Good idea. Best idea would be figure out what I can do about textual. So if somebody could just look that up and find the solution, that would be great. Nura snuck in. All right, we got a couple of people on textual. You guys that are on textual, let me know if you can find a plist that I can kill, because I'm not finding anything in the plist, and I don't know what to do about that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, August 30th, 2015, and this is show number 538. Well, last week on the show, I reviewed the awesome TripMate TM05 from Hutu, which is a router, firewall, battery pack, and media sharing device all bundled into one. I still think it's a great little device, but I made a huge mistake when I said use of it on shared internet meant I wouldn't need my VPN service anymore. This is completely wrong. While I was creating a private firewalled off network of my own on shared internet, as soon as my traffic passes out of the TripMate, it'll be on the shared network and therefore still subject to a man-in-the-middle attack. The only way to fully protect myself and my friends and family from this is with a VPN. Luckily, Bart jumped onto the blog and corrected me in the comments, and I was able to change the blog post to reflect my mistake using crossouts so you guys wouldn't get confused that it had just disappeared, but there wasn't any way to undo the podcast at that point. Anyway, thanks, Bart, for the correction, and I'm sorry if anybody bought it thinking they wouldn't need to have a VPN. Still a very, very cool tool from TripMate, or from Hutu, but doesn't do a VPN's job. Recently, Leo Laporte has been talking about a new messaging app called, I'm doing this from scratch because I forgot to write it up. Dang it. It's called, Steve? Telegram Messenger. There we go. Here we go. Recently, Leo Laporte has been talking up a new messaging app called Telegram Messenger. I would really love it if you guys went out and checked this out. It's from telegram.org. And the cool part about this thing is there is a native client for everything. There's a Mac client, a Windows client, a Linux client, a Windows Phone client, a Firefox OS client, an iOS client, an Android client. There's a web client. There's a native watch app, for crying out loud. It's on everything. The other really, really cool thing about it is that it's wicked, wicked fast. So as soon as you write on one device, it's just showing up on all the other ones. I don't know about you, but using things like messages shows up on some, doesn't show up on others. It's all hinky and weird. You can create groups in this. It's fairly secure. There's some argument about how secure it is, and I'll let you guys go read up on that to see what you think. But I am really, really digging it. Think WhatsApp, except way more clients, and the fact that you can use them all at the same time. So today I was talking to Terry Austin, and we were playing around with the little microscope attachment he gave me for my iPhone. And I was able to use the camera on the iPhone to take pictures of what I was seeing with his microscope, instantly transmitting it through Telegram. But the whole time I was talking to him with text, I was typing on my Mac. So I've got it on all my devices. They all show the notifications at the same time. Really, really cool. The other thing, unlike WhatsApp, is you don't have to share your phone number with anybody. You can have a chat name. So my chat name is Podfeet. Look me up and, give me a holler. Tell me what you think about it. I think it is really, really slick, and I'm really excited about it. It appears to be the one app to solve all the problems. Oh, and it's open source too. So what's not to like? Well, this has been a super big week for me on podcast appearances. First, I was on the Clockwise podcast hosted over at, okay, that's too many stumbles. Maybe I should have a beer, Steve. Drinking water. I'm stuttering a lot here. Let's see have I missed anything?
That can be arranged.
All right. Slack, Telegram. It's Telegram. Anybody find a solution to my colloquy or my textual problem yet? Have I tested with VoiceOver? No, I haven't, Dan. Shoot me a note, or, it's free. Just download it yourself and let me know if it works, Dan. That would be very, very cool. Let's see. There is a web app, so I imagine that probably works too. Yeah, there's Terry. And then what combination of video source and chart source is least lag for the show? Oh, that's other stuff. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see. This has been a super big week for me for podcast appearances. First, I was on the Clockwise podcast hosted over at relay.fm/clockwise. It was hosted by Jason Snell, and I joined Serenity Caldwell and Casey Liss as two of the other guests. If you haven't heard the show before, I can highly recommend it. It's 4 people, 4 tech topics, and you're in and out in 30 minutes. It's crisp, to the point, and intelligent. That's an unusual angle for a podcast, right? This episode I was on was number 101, entitled Maybe We Should Call AppleCare, which was actually my question, which was fun. Next up, I was on Mac Voices with my dear friend and internet nemesis, Chuck Joyner. He's doing a series on power tools, so I was able to tell him about my chainsaw and my power washer, amongst other things. He didn't want me talking about that. He wanted me talking about Mac and iOS tools, but of course, I talked about my chainsaw and my power washer just to needle him. I did try to be nice to him for the full interview, and I mostly succeeded. Look for Mac Voices 15166 at macvoices.com. Then I was on the Daily Tech News Show with host Tom Merritt and guest Jeff Kanata, co-host of the We Have Concerns podcast. Jeff is hilarious, and the three of us had a blast talking about the tech news on DTNS 2568 for Thursday, August 27th. Whew. Finally, I was a guest on a new podcast hosted by Shelley Brisbane called The Parallel. It's a really interesting premise. Her idea is to have 2 guests on the show each week or each month or however often she does it. And the 2 guests are going to talk about a tech topic. The trick is one person is sighted and one is visually impaired. It's not a show about accessibility, but of course the subject's going to come up organically because one person is not sighted. For this second episode, she had me and Allison Hilliker on, co-host of the Tech Doctor podcast with Dr. Robert Carter. We talked about how we learn technology. Do we use books, online courses, videos, tutorials? It was a really fun conversation between geeks, and the three of us melded really well. You can find The Parallel at brisbane.net/The Parallel. You better look in the show notes because it's a capital T, capital P. She doesn't have its own domain yet, but she will soon. By the way, the first episode was with Dr. Robert Carter and Ken Ray. So it's a great new show. I think it's going to be really interesting. I was excited to be part of the launch. Well, I did say when I retired that I wanted more time to do podcasts, so I guess my dream has come true. All right. Nobody solved my problem yet. All right. Nobody must be using textual. For some reason, I don't have a backup chat client. Make a note for me. Remind me, Steve, to do a backup chat client right after I register us for CES. All right. Here we go. Wait, watch this. Remind me at 7:30 p.m. to install a new chat client. It's like I'm from the future. It was on my watch. All right, cool. All right. It seems that in the world of tech gadgets, you have to choose between well-made, classy attention to detail devices that are expensive and poorly made but inexpensive accessories. You either get cheap with cheaply made or vice versa. Notable exceptions to this rule are the accessories from a company called iSkelter at iSkelter.com. Their tagline is built by people who give a damn. iSkelter makes wood lap desks, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with a review unit of their left-handed lap desk they call Tab. The Tab is a beautifully handcrafted wood piece with angles cut on the edges at the perfect angle to provide no harsh edges to your legs or other surfaces. It's smooth and sleek, and it's absolutely a joy to hold. The Tab has a slot along the back edge at the perfect angle to hold a tablet like a full-size iPad in landscape mode, or you can have both a phone and a tablet in portrait mode. Embedded into the face of this particular tab is a whiteboard, which explains why I called it a left-handed tab, because the whiteboard's on the left half. Now that seems like an odd addition to a lap desk, but as a doodler, I can see how it would be fun to make temporary notes on it while working. I've used a fair number of lap desks, and the $50 for the tab is a fair price, especially for the fine wood craftsmanship. It's not cheap, but it's also not extravagant. Of course, the tab comes also in a right-handed model if you can get it, and you can get it without any whiteboard at all. I'm not sure the tab model specifically solves the problem for me, but they also sell a model called Slate 2.0 that would solve more of my particular problems. The Slate 2.0 is also made of the same beautiful hardwood, but it's made for holding a laptop. To the right or left, if you're left-handed, you can choose to have an area of plain wood, or you can have the embedded whiteboard for doodling, or have a nice mouse pad built in. There's also a slot to hold either a phone or a small form factor tablet, again at that perfect angle. The Slate 2.0 is wonderfully customizable, including that you can have it created for you for either 11 to 13-inch laptops or 15 to 17-inch laptops. The Slate 2.0 is just $60. I'm thinking that one needs to go on my Christmas list. They have a lot of other models. They have a big command center kind of one that's got, you can put like 3 things on at the same time. They've got entire desks. It's a great site and has a lot of really, really interesting products. They're all made of the same gorgeous wood. They're crafted to your needs specifically, and they do not cost a house payment in spite of the quality of their workmanship. Check out the Tab, the Slate, and their full-sized entire desks, like the easel to lift your laptop on a desk, and more lap desks over at iSkelter.com. Good grief. I just noticed 2 typos on the URL, different ways. Hang on. I have got to go fix this. Actually, no, I don't have to do that right now, but I have to make a note. Both Skelter links. Bad. There we go.
By the way, we're having some AGR issues, but Todd's working them.
Okay, so Alpha Geek Radio is not there?
I don't believe they are.
Oh.
But he looks like he's refreshing, so they may come up soon.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting me know. All righty. I am going to now drop in James Skelter. Jeez. I must be getting hungry. Hangry. James Ford is going to come on. Actually, did he say his name? I don't know if he did or not. Let's have a listen here. Desks over at iSkelter.com.
Hello, Allison and fellow NosillaCast listener. This is James from Minnesota.
He did. Okay, good. Get rid of that little click he did at the beginning. Bring him in just a smidge. Over at iSkelter.com.
Hello, Allison and fellow NosillaCast listener. This is James from Minnesota. I want to tell you about a browser hijack I recently encountered and what I did to get around it. I clicked on what was seemingly a legitimate Safari link, only to have a tab and an overlay window open instead of the tab I was expecting. The tab that opened displayed Windows blue screen of death text on it. The overlay window had no toolbar at the top and contained text that said my Windows computer was infected. Now remember, I'm on a Mac, and that I needed to call an 800 number to get the computer cleaned. Because the overlay window had no toolbar, I could not close it. Plus, I could no longer access any of the other open tabs. After some Google foo, I found out the JavaScript was being used to create this hijack. When I clicked Safari on the toolbar, the Quit Safari option was grayed out, but the Preferences option was still available. I opened Safari's Preferences, clicked Security, and unchecked Enable JavaScript. I then clicked the Apple icon and used the Force Quit option to close Safari. I reopened Safari and only the default tab was displayed. To reopen the previously open tabs, I clicked History on the Safari toolbar and clicked Reopen All Windows from Last Session. A new window opened displaying all the previously open tabs, after which I was able to close the blue screen of death tab. From that point on, everything worked correctly. Now, this happened a couple of weeks ago. This week, I encountered this hijack again. But this time, when I tried to open Safari Preferences, it was grayed out, which prevented me from accessing the security option that would allow me to disable JavaScript. My only choice was to force quit Safari. When I reopened Safari, all the previously open tabs and the overlay window immediately reopened. At this point, I was stuck, so I did some more Google foo to see if there was a way to use the terminal to disable JavaScript. I found an Engadget article that not only shows how to disable JavaScript from the terminal, but also a way to create a keyboard shortcut that issues the disable JavaScript command that I could use now and later. I created the keyboard shortcut, used it, and when Safari reopened, the overlay window was gone, and I was able to close the blue screen of death tab. When I checked Safari's preferences, JavaScript was still enabled, and I've had no further problems. Having this keyboard shortcut will allow me to use it again if I need to, and with the way sites are being infected with this malady, I'm sure I will. Hopefully, if others encounter this issue, they'll be able to use my tip to get around this problem. I have included the terminal command and how to set up the keyboard shortcut in the text that I sent to Allison.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of this little section. So it's not just me. There is a thing on the I should put it this way. The textual Twitter app or textual Twitter account is tweeting that there's an issue with the App Store causing textual to crash. Renaming textual5.app to textual.app will fix it. Let's try that. Textual5. He says, they say rename it to just textual will fix it. How bizarre is that? Hate the Mac App Store update process? You can migrate away from it for absolutely for free. Apparently they're frustrated. See if that works. Yes. That fixed it. Wow. I think I'm in. Am I in? No, I'm not showing up at join.
It may be that Podfeed is in twice, so you may have to get out of Colloquy to get in again as Podfeed.
Let's try quitting that. Well, it's not. It's just there's no join.
Oh. Something else then.
Yeah, let me see. irc.borkchat.net. NosillaCast. I'm in here by myself. Interesting. Join channel. Let me disconnect and reconnect. Huh. I only have disconnect as an option. Video and audio are stable now on AlphaGeek, it says. Actually, cancel, save. Why is boardchat.net?
Yes, we are on AGR now.
Hello, AlphaGeek Radio. Well, that's not very good. It's not letting me join anything. That's sort of like working. Channel properties, join channel. It's not letting me join the channel. All right, better not goof around with this too much. Colloquy, we'll go back in over there. How did you log me in as Podfeet? Did it just do it automatically? I can't hear you, darling. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I just did a nick change / Nick Podfeet.
Am I here now?
Yes, you're as SP Sheridan _
Okay. Okay, and I can't see when it's spelling. So / Nick Podfeet.
There you go.
Thank you. Ugh. Crying out loud, silly doc. Okay, well, I'm halfway through figuring out what's wrong with textual, but I will remember to fix that later. Good. Well, I know it's not just me. I can stop worrying.
Whoa. What happened? What was that? Yeah. Let's see. Let me try this. That work?
Okay. Yay. Did it stay up for you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, darling. So it's still live?
I believe it is.
Cool.
Yep. Pretty sure.
All right. Well, thank you. So I had found the fix to colloquy, and so I quit Chrome where I was running the live show. So other than that, it's going pretty smooth so far. What do you think, Steve? Pretty good? Yeah. All right. I just finished playing James.
To get around this problem.
Okay, so I just cut a crack out of there. And okay, I need you to mute yourself now, if you would. Thank you for your assistance. Bye. Okay. Oh, that's why they said they liked the Steve cam, because you were still on the show here. Here we go. All right. Stop. Go. Put it back here. There we go. All right. Okay. Now I get to talk. Here we go. Well, I love this tip because James started with the problem to be solved, and then he explained how he figured out the solution. I went over to the Engadget link that James included, and I learned that having a temporary disabled JavaScript key command can help with a plethora of other problems beyond what had happened to James. You know, like those annoying sites that put those green underlines that pop up ads in your face. I hate those. Basically, anytime you think something is being annoying and it might be a JavaScript thing, you can just turn it off and then go do something else. They also go into exactly how and where to create a custom keyboard shortcut so you can get to it from the develop menu inside Safari. James and I chatted a bit about the benefits of making the keyboard shortcut in the terminal versus in the keyboard preferences, and when we were done, I did both. Thanks so much, James. I can't believe this is your first review for the show. You did great, and I hope you do more. Okay, I just heard a system sound. Where did that come from?
I thought that might be my own. So I heard two system sounds. Someone joining. Doug joined us.
You know what?
I wonder if you hear that, would you?
No, I've got the MacBook Air muted. Let me ask this, did the live audience hear that? That's the real question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Actually, the recording is all that really matters. Let's see. Thanks so much, James. I can't believe this is your first review for the show. You did great, and I hope you do more. Okay, it's not on the recording, so I think we're okay. All right, here we go. I feel really disconnected, you guys, with you way over there. Well enough to have half an hour to give over to Podfeed. George from Tulsa. George. Hi, George. Long time no see. Wow. We got a packed house. When did Kevin sneak in?
Oh, he was here before anybody.
Oh, was he? All
Yeah.
right. He's been quiet.
Now, Doug just snuck in. I think Doug might be new.
Hi, Doug. Are you new? If you're here on purpose, say howdy in the chat room. Tell us who you are. Tell us everything about you. All right, here we go. Okay. It's not here we go. Last Saturday night, Pat Dengler and I got to go on one of Trey Rack. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Stutter, stutter, stutter. I think I might need a beer, Steve. If you get time.
Coming right up.
Thank you, Annie. Last Saturday night, Pat Dengler and I went on one of Trey Ratcliffe's photo walks in Los Angeles. He's doing them all across the United States, so it's a unique opportunity to hang out with him and a few hundred of your closest friends. If you haven't heard of Trey Ratcliffe, he's pretty much the internet darling of photography. He only started photography about 8 years ago, and he has created a massive portfolio of stunning artwork in the intervening years. His real specialty is HDR processing, where he creates these gorgeous landscapes. His photos aren't cheesy HDR, they're never predictable and always breathtaking. He has become the internet darling because he gives away a lot of his tricks and tips for photo processing. I put a link to his free HDR tutorial in the blog post for this. He's also making a good living by teaching classes online, which you can buy for download. He even sells things like his presets for the application Photomatics that he uses for his HDR work. Right now, he's working on a Kickstarter. Actually, I'm going to add one more thing in there. Jamal's here. Hey, Jamal. I'm actually going to talk about you right now. I'm going to redo that piece. I don't like it. One more time. Thank you, dear. This water just wasn't doing it. Maybe that's why I'm stuttering a lot, is because I'm not drinking beer. That's what it is. Thank you, dear. All right. One more time. This time with beer. Last Saturday night, Pat Dengler and I went on one of Trey Ratcliffe's photo walks in Los Angeles. He's doing them all across the United States, so it's a unique opportunity to get to hang out with him and a few hundred of your closest friends. If you haven't heard of Trey Ratcliffe, he's pretty much the internet darling of photography. He only started in photography about 8 years ago, and in that time, he has created a massive portfolio of stunning artwork. His real specialty is HDR processing, where he creates these gorgeous, gorgeous photos. They're not cheesy HDR, they're never predictable, and they're always breathtaking. He's become the internet darling because he gives away a lot of his tricks and tips for photo processing. By the way, the blog post I did about this, I put a link to his free HDR tutorial. Definitely worth watching. He's also making a good living by teaching classes online, which you can buy for download. He even sells things like his presets for the application Photomatics that he uses for his HDR work. By the way, I'll be talking about a party later that he did. And one of the things he said is that he hates the interface on Photomatics. He thinks it's so bad that we should make prisoners use it as punishment. He's also trying to, that might have been a preamble to the fact that he's creating his own HDR photography application. And it's in an alpha state now, but that might be really, really cool when that comes out. He's also working on a Kickstarter campaign with a company called Peak Design to develop the very best day messenger bag for photographers. He does all of these business ventures, but also gives away a lot of his time for things like the photo walks. If you like photography at all, I can highly recommend going on a photo walk with other photographers. There are pros and cons of such a huge photo walk, though. On the one hand, I got to hang out with my good friend Pat and Victor Cahiao and friend of the show, Jamal, and I probably could have done that without Trey's help. I did get to meet a few other people who were really fun, and it was neat to hear their perspective on photography. We met one woman who had just bought her very first DSLR and looked around for a class to take and stumbled across Trey's photo walk in Los Angeles. She had no idea what she was in for. By the way, I met a young gentleman that I talked to for a really long time. I gave him my card. He gave me his card, and I have lost his card. So if by any chance you're listening right now, please contact me because I had a bunch more stuff I wanted to talk to you about, and I lost his name. I want to say his name might have been Jonathan, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I've looked everywhere. I can't find your card. But I have to say that more of this particular photo walk was a sales pitch than I would have liked. especially focusing on that bag he's trying to get funded with Peak Design. And a lot of the giveaway contests were all about his sponsors. The ability to learn from him directly during the walk was severely limited by the number of people around him, but Jamal and I wandered off on our own and had a grand time taking photos. At one point, we managed to lose the group entirely. I got to tell you, it's really hard to lose 200 people carrying cameras and tripods in a giant pack, but we managed it. We were underneath the Santa Monica Pier taking photos in the dark and didn't notice that everyone else had moved on. When we came out into the light, they were all gone. I eventually found them up on top of the pier, and the way we did that was by calling Pat on the phone, who had managed to stay near Trey, and it was kind of funny because we finally found them on top of the pier. But by that time, they were done with the pier. I have no regrets because we did have a blast together, Jamal and I, and we eventually found Pat again too. Sadly, we never found Victor after the very beginning, but apparently he had a great time too. Then there was an option to go to the late night class I mentioned earlier, taught by Trey, and Pat and I decided to go. It cost around $50 to $70 depending on when you bought your tickets. We had high expectations from the description to actually learn some of his techniques. This party started at 9 in theory, but he didn't actually get started until 10:30. Even then, he spent most of the time just showing us some of his coolest photos, which was neat, but not really what we signed up for. We thought it was more of a class. He did give us codes to download a bunch of his online training for free, and I think that more than made it up for me. I can now go through at my leisure, back up, take notes on what I'm learning. I hope I actually do it, though. I did go through one class already, and I learned a lot. I'm really glad Pat talked me into going, and I think I'd like to go on more photo walks in the future. I think the best part is that you're with people who aren't all about getting somewhere or doing something. They're okay if you stop and take photos. All right, did I miss anything? Oh, I missed a lot. This is hard. I wish I could see this. MacLooker app crashed again. Which app are you running, Dorothy? Uh-oh. Doug is new to the chat room. Oh, hi, Doug. What's that, Steve?
She's running
I
Donald's
lost
app.
you. Oh, Donald's app. Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Doug. Send us your Twitter handle so we can follow you and connect up. Go ahead and type in the chat room. Steve keeps track of that stuff for me. Well, during the after party with Trey Ratcliffe, there was time to ask questions to Trey. I shot my hand up first and I was rewarded with a gift. Before I tell you about it, though, what's our problem to be solved other than loving free stuff? Most cameras come with a neck strap, and they work okay to keep you from, dropping your camera over the side when you're on a boat, but they're ill-designed for just about everything else. They hang straight down on your neck with your camera bumping around on your chest, and they're uncomfortable. If you lean over, they swing way out, and they can crash into things like rocks when you're hiking. You can try putting the strap around one shoulder, but they're just not designed for this in length or band thickness or pretty much any kind of comfort. Back on show number 400, I told you about the Black Rabbit. Stop that. Back on show. Back on show number 400, I told you about the Black Rapid Curve RS7 I had just acquired for my Nikon D5100. It was perfect for that large DSLR because of the padding and how well it fit across my chest. I loved it. But now I have a diminutive Micro Four Thirds camera, the Olympus OMD EM10, and that strap was just overkill. I gave it away to a friend of mine who bought some of my lenses, and he's delighted with it. All right, back to Trey's party. The gift I received is the Slide Light from Peak Design. That's the same company that he's designing the bag with. This is a sleek strap with just the right thickness to make it comfortable to wear, but it's still light enough to make sense with a light camera. The real delight of the Peak Design straps is their attachment mechanism design. They have a little button with a loop on it that you thread around your attachment points, and then you can simply press and slide to attach the strap to the camera. This means that really quickly I can detach the strap from my camera instead of, 10 minutes of unthreading it like a traditional strap. The Slide Light also has two mechanisms for shortening and lengthening the strap. I put it on to go for a walk, and I found it very easy to tighten them way up so that it wasn't banging around at all. Then later I went for a bike ride, and I found that I liked it somewhat longer. I was able to one-handed lengthen the strap and not even stop riding. Later, Steve and I stopped for a bit at one end of the ride. And after we got going again, I suddenly panicked because I thought I'd forgotten to put my camera back on. Of course, I still had it on, but it was so light and comfortable that I couldn't even tell I was carrying it. I even took a picture while I was riding my bike. I was able to pull it up, take a picture, and slide it back down, and it just fit and slid perfectly. The little button mechanism I described is part of their way of getting you into their ecosystem. Pat Dangler has some others of their devices, and they all use these same little buttons. For example, they're working on this bag I told you about. It's going to have attachments on the outside so you can hang a lens and even a camera on the outside of the bag using these little buttons. The loop that comes out of the buttons also has an indicator to tell you if it's getting worn out. I haven't seen it in person, but the instructions show that if it's getting worn out, it will be stretched to show yellow material and red when it's critically in poor condition. Luckily, they give you 2 extra buttons to go with the slide light so you don't have to buy new ones for a while. Now, here's the only bad news. The slide light is not available yet. It's on their site under development, but since I received a fully packaged unit, I suspect it won't be long before you can buy one. You can pre-order it now for $45, which at first sounded like a lot, but it's about $10 less than I paid for the Rapid Design strap a couple of years ago for my bigger camera. They do make a slide for larger cameras as well. Go check out all the Peak Design products at peakdesign.com. I can show you them. Actually, I wonder does anybody want to see the that lap desk? Steve might go down and get it for us. My goal is to see how many times I can get Steve to run downstairs for me. So this is the strap. It looks like a traditional strap. It's just kind of normal thickness, but it feels really good. And these are the things for changing the length. Oddly, it's got a little flip up thing here, which let me pop this up. Wait, which way does that go? Oh, yeah, this way. There you go. That pops up to let you slide, but you can actually slide it without popping it up. So I'm not quite sure what that piece is for, so I didn't talk about it. But these are those little buttons. So you see this button, I press that and then slide it up, and I can take this off. Let me see if I can do it without dropping my camera. Oops. Well, I'm going to have to do it without showing it the camera. So this is the little button I was talking about. So see, I can take that off, and then you could hang your camera on a strap or on one of those chest mount kind of things if you wanted. It's pretty cool. Oh, they say they want to see the lap desk, Steve. All right. Who's making fun of me? All right. Thank you, dear. So here is the lap desk. Actually, let me turn the light off. It's too bright. Wow, it's still bright. Let me turn this light off. Maybe it's the monitor making it so bright. Wow. There. Back here it looks better. So here is my my nice drawing of the pod feet I put on the picture. And so up here is where you put your iPad or iPhone or whatever, and it's got a slot for the cable if you want to charge it while it's on there. And then as you can see, this is left-handed. You do other stuff over here. But it's you can see the angles that this is cut. I said it was hardwood. I don't know if it is. I saw somebody writing birch. I wonder if you guys saw that. So I thought it was pretty cool. Left-handed. It's got you written all over it, Sandy. All right. Does it smell like feet? Nice. Put my lights back on. There we go. All right. We are doing good. Can't believe I winged that whole thing about... Oh, what did I see? I saw something in here that was bad. What was it? It was something important. Yeah, RSY, I called it. Seven. And I have not posted that. So post slide light. Can you put a keyboard on it? Yeah, you could. Sure. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea for like a Bluetooth keyboard and your iPad or your iPhone sitting there. That would work. That would work great. Yeah, it's yeah, Yeah, it's pretty wide. Let's see. How exciting to have George in here. George, you are the heart and soul of our Google Plus community. I love it. Nice to see you here. Okay, where was I? It's time for an ad. Everybody say it. Here we go. When I was on Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices show this week, the subject was about what power tools I use. Even though, of course, I wanted to talk about my power washer and my chainsaw, you will be shocked to hear that I brought up Clarify. I was not being paid by the folks that write Clarify to talk about it on Chuck's show. I explained that I asked the Clarify people if I could advertise for them because I knew that every single week I'd be able to come up with a new story of how Clarify helped me. I explained to Chuck that Evernote is part of the workflow because I can keep my tutorials in Evernote as a database. And if things change, I can open the Clarify tutorials right from within Evernote, edit, repost to podfeed.com, and it automatically updates the tutorials in WordPress. Even Chuck had to admit that was pretty cool. If you haven't tried Clarify yet, and I think there are 3 NosillaCastaways left, you don't have it yet, I highly encourage you to go over to clarify-it.com and download the free 14-day trial for Mac, Windows, or both and see if it solves the problem for you. Many thanks to the folks at clarify-it.com for sponsoring this week's show. Da-da-da. Oh, Doug, thank you. You liked my appearance on Chuck's show? Cool. Yeah, it was really fun. We actually adore each other, in case you guys were wondering. Kevin, take your ears off. I got the jingle coming, favorites, jazz. Terry Austin is he still? Yeah, he's here. Good. Terry Austin is my guest on Chit Chat this week. Saved my bacon. The host the guest who had agreed to be on the show had some sort of family emergency, bailed on me on Friday. Terry came through. We probably only got through a third of the content we thought we'd get through. So Terry will be coming back. We had such a great time. I loved every minute of Terry on the show. So I think you'll be able to hear that there. Oh, Steve, get ready for your symbols check. I'm thinking that looks about right. Let's ready, Steve? All right. Stay on the air so I can hear you immediately.
Staying on air.
Many thanks to the... Don't record. That was not what I meant to do. Just hit play. Here we go. The folks at clarify-it.com for sponsoring this week's show. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond, and I am delighted to welcome to the show for the first time. I'm not sure why I haven't done this sooner. Professor Terry Austin from Temple College, not Temple University. He's a professor in anatomy and physiology and microbiology. So you're going to teach us all that stuff today.
Absolutely. I do this every day, so why not teach you guys too?
Really? We got 40 minutes. We can probably pack in all 3 of those topics. Or
No doubt. I'll have you leaving here with a nursing degree by the time we're done.
Well, the reason I wanted to have Terry on, or I should explain, the way Terry and I met was we were at Macworld, I think it was, and we'd been to some session, and all of a sudden this joker comes up to me, and he hands me a drawing of 2 little pod feet and the word Allison in this kind of little cartoon drawing here. And if you've ever gotten an email from me, you'll see that I liked it so much that I made it my signature, and that's what Terry was doing when he was supposed to be paying attention in a session at Macworld.
Exactly. I was being a geek, and I had just discovered microed sketchnoting, and that was one of my very first sketch notes. Loved it.
So that was on the iPad?
No, that was actually done in I was done on paper, one of the very few analog things that I did that year.
Well, very cool. Well, I wanted to have Terry on because he does a lot of really interesting things in the way that he teaches at Temple College. And you're probably one of the most high-tech teachers I've ever seen. And the things you're doing look to me to be, I would love to take a class from you. I think I'd really be engaged, even though I didn't pay any attention in biology in high school. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have Terry on the show.
Okay, I'll give you my very favorite line in that particular realm. Yeah, I don't know how many of the listeners are aware of this, but students all across the country have the ability to rate their favorite instructors or least favorite instructors on a website called Rate My Professors. And
are you trying to get us to vote for you right now? Is that what you're doing? You haven't even taught us anything. You want us to vote for you already?
Absolutely. But my very favorite rating was a student who said about 8 years ago, he has enough technology in his classroom to run the Mars rover.
Nice. Now you're an iOS, Mac, Apple kind of guy, right?
Hardcore. I moved over to Mac and the entire ecosystem about 2005.
Oh, so not that long ago, a newcomer at only 10 years, huh?
Exactly. But I jumped in whole hog.
Yeah, you're using pretty much every tool that Apple sells, I think, to teach. What do you start with the basics of? What are you doing in your classroom today?
Okay, that's a fun place to begin. I love hearing questions because professors ask all the time, can I borrow your PowerPoints? And I said, well, good luck with that. I haven't used PowerPoint in years. I'm using Keynote on my Mac to present, which in itself was a huge change. It made my presentations, at least in my mind, a lot more interesting, a lot less boring.
Really? Just a different way to do bullet charts made you more interesting?
Well, it's different bullet charts, different animations. You know, if I've got a concept up there, I'll sometimes bring up a really common misconception that looks like it is a new bullet point that just popped in. And I'll use the crumble effect for it to just crumble and fall off the screen and say, okay, now we'll toss out that bad idea.
Oh, okay.
And the students really kind of get that. It seems to help them.
Now, as I remember when they first introduced animations in PowerPoint and everybody started using them, and pretty soon we all said, just stop, because it got really distracting because there was always, everything was swirling and spinning and going in and out. I assume you don't do that.
I do not do that. In fact, you're right. That makes me crazy. But when I can use something like a crumble to make a really bad idea simply break apart and fall off the screen, that at least in my head gets students' attention.
Okay.
What I do use to get their attention is another app, which I think you were excited to hear me talk about, and that is Doceri. And that's another piece of equipment that makes its way into the classroom with me, my iPad.
Okay.
In fact, on a typical day, I'll bring into my classroom my MacBook Pro, 2 iPads, my big one and my mini, my Apple Watch, and my phone, which sometimes does a secondary duty. But yeah, I'm actually carrying in all of that gear, and most of it has a purpose. The app that I was going to say, which helps in the presentation, is Doceri.
How do you spell
Doceri, that? Doceri, and we'll have it in the show notes.
Okay.
Doceri was originally written with educators in mind. At least I think that's the story behind it. But what you do is whenever you start your Mac and get ready to present, you wake up the Doceri client on the desktop, and it opens this really cool looking QR code on the screen. I point my iPad camera at it, and magically the Mac and the iPad sync up. And now
sync up. What do you mean? What do you see on the iPad?
I literally see my Mac's screen on the iPad.
Okay.
And you can, at that point, begin to think of the iPad as a touchscreen interface for the Mac.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me guess. You like to wander when you talk.
I wander like crazy. You can't keep me still. So I wander around. I'm looking at the screen. If I tap on the right edge of the screen, I'm advancing either to the next.
All right, that's a tease. We can't let the live audience have all the fun here. Let's go ahead and wind things up here. All right.
Fellow Nosilla castaways, it's good to have a chance to visit with you guys. I'll see you again soon.
All right, let me hear that again.
Fellow Nosilla castaways, it's good to have a chance to visit with you guys. I'll see you again soon.
Terry had a huge list of stuff we were going to talk about because he does so many crazy, interesting things in the way he teaches. So I know we're going to have him back and do some more learning from him on how he uses tech. I love that he uses tech in the right way, not just tech for tech's sake. And he's so fun to talk to. You're going to get to listen to him again, I'm sure of that. But that's going to wind us up for this week. Many thanks for our sponsor for helping to pay the bills, makers of Clarify over at clarify-it.com. Lindsay says that I should enunciate that a little bit more because it sounds funny the way I say it. Anyway, don't forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. Follow me on Twitter @podfeet. Check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community. I'm telling you, it is the best resource. So many people getting help. I get help there all the time. Go over to podfeet.com/Google Plus and sign up. We're getting a lot more people in there. The last time I talked to you, it was like 500 people. It's at 550 people. I mean, it's just going up really, really quickly. It's chatty, but not too chatty. You know what I mean? It's just hits that sweet spot of enough information, but not too much. So it's really cool to see people working over there, and especially George from Tulsa. Man, you can count on him to go do research for people and help them out. So I lean on those people all the time. If you want to join in the fun of the live show like Doug did for the first time this week, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. That doesn't help me when you do that. Doesn't help me at all, darling. Did you guys hear him? Kevin, take yours off.
It's not on the recording.
No, but it's annoying as all get out to me. Okay, Kevin, you can put yours back on for a moment. Let's put it around Martyr. Enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Just in time for Ray Donovan. Who's Ray Donovan? Ray Donovan. Yeah, look at that. Hour and 8 minutes. All right, Kevin, ears off. Kevin isn't talking much tonight, is he? Or am I just looking away each time he talks?
He's being Caesar. He doesn't have to talk.
Yeah. Is he talking about Caesar the ape?
I don't think so. Although a lot of hair growing down his head and back was discussed.
Okay. He's got hair down between his toes. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Ha, see, I listen to music. Let me listen to this. 538. Well, last week... Number 538. Well, last week on the show, I reviewed the awesome TripMate TMO5. All right. Let's go this way.
Oh, speaking of shows.
Do you want to be allowed to be on screen? Why is this so white over here?
It's because the door's open.
Ah, that's right. Okay, there I can let you talk now.
Mr. Robot.
Oh, you want to talk about Mr. Robot?
Well, we don't need to talk about it, but it's a recommendation, I would say.
They can't hear you, though, can they? No, they can if they're on the...
I think the iOS app cannot, but everything else can.
Right. Somebody was going to figure that out for me. Who was it? They were going to figure out how to pipe this around in a circle. All right, Jamal. See you later. John Voight. Ooh, I love John Voight. Well, tell them about Mr. Robot. Anybody else not know what Mr. Robot is? We're late to the game.
I think they just, they were about to have their season ender. It's 10 episodes per season. But because, well, no, that's a bit of a spoiler. I shouldn't say that. Let me just
Don't spoil it.
I'll just say that they delayed the airing of their last episode, but I won't say why because that gives it away.
Don't. You're a bad spoiler. The thing I like about this show is it's a hacker, and if you've been listening to Taming the Terminal or watching or reading along with Taming the Terminal, man, it's very, very much you're going to see stuff you recognize, stuff Bart has taught us. So I thought that was really fun.
So, Brett, it's on, believe it or not, USA channel.
Yeah, so we went online to see if we could stream it, and it looked like we are going to have to pay like $25 to buy it from iTunes or to get it from Amazon. And I saw that Steve saw that John F. Braun was watching it, and I was like, I know John F. Braun ain't dropping $25 on a TV show because that's not his style. So Steve asked him how he did it, and it turns out USA Today, if you have that on your cable service, you can authenticate through Apple TV. So we went over to Apple TV, authenticated with our Verizon Fios connection, and we were able to watch it for free. So that is the trick. I guess you said that in less words in the chat room, didn't you? Shut up. Okay. Window, share, export song to disk. All right, it is 5:55, and in spite of colloquy making me a little bit crazy, it looks like we got this thing done. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. I just can't believe how big this crowd was. This was really, really fun, and excited that Doug came for the first time, and having George from Tulsa's back. Grim, man, you're like a regular now.
And
You're gonna
Nuclear
take-
John. Nuclear John
And-
joined us for the first time.
Oh no, you didn't tell me.
Why
Why should we record the ending?
I think you should.
I'm going to re-record the
Also,
ending.
notable
That's your
appearances. Notable appearances by George and Dorothy.
I mentioned George.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. Well, shoot. Now I got to find that. Yep, we got to re-record because he needs a shout out. You didn't tell me. I didn't even say hi to Nuclear John. Hi, Nuclear John. So it's really cool to see people working over there, and especially George. Let's see, that was that. If you want to join in the fun of the live, there it is. There it is, right there. See, we got standards to go by. Doug and Nuclear John. Here we go. Sorry, I'm not used to the music being on. Make sure I've turned that back on. There you go. Is that what I meant to do? Cancel. No. By the way, I lied to you. It's hold it. You want your cursor below the line, not above the line in GarageBand, but you probably figured that out.
Yeah, after about 16 of those auto timing things in GarageBand.
All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, why is the music playing? Oh, because I muted the wrong track. It's this one. I want to mute that one. No, this track. Mute. There we go. Okay, now back on this track. This is a lot of work, but we have standards. Somebody's new to the show, they get to be introduced. Doug and Nuclear John, here we go. Important to get your shout out so your family thinks you're famous.
And don't forget George.
Would you like to do the show, Steve?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm muting now.
Shh. If you want to join the fun of the live show like Nuclear John and Doug did for the first time and George from Tulsa back after a long hiatus, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Was that okay, Steve? You're
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. But John says that you might be able to get it on the USA Network without a cable subscription.
Really?
I didn't know that.
George who?
Yeah, George. Right.
You get a 19%. All hail, Kevin. What the? All right, let me make sure. I get help there all the time. Go over to podfeed.com/Google Plus and sign up. We're getting a lot more people in there. The last time I talked to you, it was like 500 people. It's at 550 people. I mean, it's just going up really, really quickly. It's chatty, but not too chatty. You know what I mean? It's it's that sweet spot of enough information, but not too much. So it's really cool to see people working over there, and especially George from Tulsa. Man, you can count on him to go do research for people. So I had to talk about George twice. Jeez, you know, his head gets all swole up when you do that. All right. Now I think it's ready to share to disk. Export song to disk. Now it's 5:59. We got to be out by 6 o'clock, you know, because the doors close over on Alpha Geek Radio. I am glad we were able to get on to Alpha Geek Radio. Hope some people still found us in spite of the delay in the server or something going wrong over there. So I will see you guys all next week. If, let's see, Rose is here, even though I haven't seen her talking, but I always like to say goodbye to Rose special. Goodbye, Rose. Mwah. Love you all.